Cimoooooooo.
What's going on, guys? It's Cimo, and oh man, do the ban list hits keep on coming. Konami gave us that 1-2 punch with the ban list, not only giving us the TCG Banlist 2 days ago, but they just released the OCG Banlist. I'm about an hour or two behind this. I actually just woke up not too long ago, and I saw that people were saying that the ban list was out. I haven't seen it yet. My friend sent me a link and just said, don't scroll down. So I'm super excited to see what the OCG has in store. Now, obviously, it's a little bit different than how the TCG does things. You know, they have a few sets more than we do. Their card pool is vastly different, but typically some of the changes to the OCG's ban list are not too far behind what the TCG will eventually do. So it's very interesting to see and explore their format and ban list. And who knows, maybe some of those changes will come to us on the next ban list in December. So before we get into the ban list, I want to give you guys a little bit of an idea of what the metagame in Japan is shaping up to be like, because again, vastly different format, vastly different card pool. So we can kind of explore and see what we have here. So we're over here on Road of the King. This is where I get a majority of my OCG related metagame news. And so we're going to be covering metagame report 9 and 10. You can see here that Dogmatica Invoked and Shaddoll taking up a similar percentage of the meta pie chart here, followed shortly by Eldritch, Sky Striker, and Zodiac. So that's kind of interesting. We can quickly scroll down here and see what some of these deck lists look like. So here's Dogmatica Invoked. Pretty cookie cutter. They have 3 Called by the Grave. That's funny. We don't have that anymore. Going down here to Shaddoll. This is an Invoke Shaddoll list. It's really funny to see that Invoke Shaddoll is actually still seeing like such a reasonable amount of play over there. But again, just how different the formats truly are. And then this is Dogmatica Shaddoll, it looks like. That's pretty interesting. And then Eldritch. This is cool. This is a 60 card Eldritch list with That Grass Looks Greener. Man, do you guys remember when we had that card in our format? Boy, I don't miss that. And then Metagame Report 10 tells a much different story. This was actually a week later. And so Eldritch is at the top here, followed shortly by Dogmatica Invoked and Zodiac. Yeah, Zodiac making a resurgence here. We'll talk about that in a bit. But we'll go ahead and scroll through the lists again. This is a more standardized 40-card Eldritch list. 3 skill drain. That's just absurd. Like, I think a lot of people would love to have 3 skill drain here in the TCG. This is an Invoke Dogmatica list. Again, pretty cookie cutter. It almost looks identical to the one in Metagame Report 9. And then Zodiac. This is so cool. AA Zeus from Phantom Rage. This card is insane. And honestly, if it makes Zodiac good, I'm not complaining because I will take any excuse to play Zodiac. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get to this list because I am excited to see what changes they have made. Now, for context, the OCG has some much different hits than we do. They banned Link Cross on their last ban list, so that just goes to show what a powerhouse that card is. I believe Halki Fibrax is limited to 1, so that goes to show that, you know, they felt that that card was an issue as well. And there's a bunch of other differences as well, so I'm very curious to see what they ultimately ended up doing. So we're going to scroll down here. Looks like they did the ban list reveal in some sort of video form, which is kind of cool. I think that's neat that they... Oh my god, they banned DRAGOON! Bravo, Konami. Bravo. You banned DRAGOON. Okay. I'm assuming this is banned. Yep, forbidden. Okay. Just the fact that that was the first thing that I saw, I was assuming that's what it was. And Utopic Zexal. You know what? They definitely deserve credit for this. I personally believe that Zexal deserves to be banned. Even if Zexal isn't necessarily an issue, I just think that fundamentally the card design of Zexal should just be completely prohibited because it doesn't allow people to play the game. Like, what you don't want people to not play your game, right? It just does. It's so counterintuitive to what a card game should be that even if it's not seeing play, I think it should just be banned. So I did a whole video on it. You guys can go watch that. But Red Eyes Dark DRAGOON or DRAGOON of Red Eyes is banned. This is crazy. Now, Red Eyes Dark DRAGOON was actually at 1 in the OCG after their last ban list. I actually think they have Verte Anaconda at 1 as well. And so if that doesn't go to show how powerful and format warping of a card DRAGOON is, the fact that the OCG banned it should just go to show that it is that crazy. Now, what's interesting is that when we were looking at some of these reports, I don't think any of these decks were actually playing DRAGOON, interestingly enough. Again, that doesn't mean that it's a card that shouldn't be hit, but still, that is rather fascinating that the decks at like the top tiers of their meta aren't even incorporating DRAGOON, but wow. that is a huge hit. And again, who knows? Maybe this just telegraphs that Dragoon is a problem. I remember when Dragoon was at 3 before they limited it in the OCG, some people were playing multiple Dragoons so that if they outed their opponent's Dragoon, they could summon a second one and then basically have checkmate on their opponent. It's just that good of a card, let's be honest. But man, talk about taking initiative there. That is crazy. So we're going to be scrolling down here again. Gearsu and 1-for-1 for the limits. Yeah, okay. So interesting. Orcus is definitely much stronger in the OCG than it is here. Obviously here in the TCG, we have much larger problems with, well, not really anymore because now Block Dragon's been banned. So I don't think Adamancipator is going to be nearly as powerful as it was. I think it's still going to be fine. It's just going to be so much more glass cannon that, you know, if its board gets disrupted, then it's just probably game over for that deck. But Orcus was definitely just like Dragoon Turbo in the OCG, and Orcus is still a fine deck. Like Orcus, they have, I believe they have Harp Horror at 1 over in the OCG, so that right there just makes Orcus infinitely more viable here in the TCG. So obviously there's some differences, right? But man, limiting Gearsu to 1, that's a really big one. To be fair, Gearsu is another monster that kind of just enables some like just absurdly powerful plays on its own, even like outside of Orcus technically. So it's one of those just like one card starters that does so much for the game. So I could see the reason why they limited it, but again, it's just rather fascinating considering the most recent metagame reports don't really pinpoint Orcus as an issue, but apparently it's a big enough issue that they felt that Gearsu had to be limited. And then 1-for-1, I believe in the OCG, 1-for-1 was at like 2 or 3 copies. So yeah, like that already just sounds busted to me. Like 1-for-1 is one of the most powerful cards simply because it's not once per turn. If you have a bunch of like level 1 monsters have just become so increasingly powerful over the years and their utility has just become so vast that having a card that essentially just gets you the card immediately to your field, and not to mention you're discarding a monster from your hand, so that's giving you potential setup there. So much power, and I'm not really too surprised to see this card go back at 1. It's at 1 here in the TCG. And maybe it's at 2. I'm pretty sure it's at 1. But in any case, 1-for-1, I feel like is a card that definitely should stay at 1 because it is like one of those cards that like can just be an ultimate starter in the right circumstances. So, okay, interesting. Let's go ahead and keep scrolling down. I'm guessing this is semi-limits. Oh, this is hilarious. Okay, so, they hit Call by the Grave as well. So, all right, so for semi-limits, they hit Memories of Hope, which is hilarious, Nadir Servant, and Called by the Grave. So Memories of Hope, for people who don't know, this card was used in tandem with the Numeron when it comes to Zexal, and the purpose of this is because with Numeron Network, you're able to summon 4 Xyz monsters to the field, and so with Memories of Hope, you are then able to draw 4 cards, which is a little bit ridiculous, right? It is kind of gimmicky, and it's kind of win more, in my opinion, but evidently, the OCG felt that this was problematic enough that it needed to be semi-limited. I'm not sure if there's some other application for this card. That's the only instance I've ever seen Memories of Hope being utilized. But, okay. Nadir Servant getting semi-limited. So people who are longtime fans of the channel know that I just really despise the semi-limited list in general, because, like, putting this card to 2... does it really do anything? Like, yeah, this is kind of a reduction in consistency for these Dogmatica decks, but, like, they still have 2 of it, so, like, does it really matter necessarily? You can still, like, loop it. You can there's still so many things you can do with Nadir Servant at 2 copies that, like, I don't really feel like this does a whole lot. And then Call by the Grave's kind of, like, in the same boat. Like, I mean, they put it to 1 here in the TCG, which is, like, maybe worse than putting it to 2, but the TCGs had Call by the Grave at 2 before, and then they quickly amended that on the following list, and then they put it back to 3, I'm pretty sure. So, like, why? Like, is this just to, like, kind of make the ability to push through hand traps a little bit less likely? You know, like, it just seems like such a weird call to put something... call, that was not intentional. It just seems like such a weird decision to put Call by the Grave on the semi-limit, especially when we've seen it done here in the TCG, and then they just quickly just walked back that decision. I don't know, but interesting. All right, and then let's go to the unlimiteds here. Let's see what we got. Okay, so for unlimiteds, they went with White Dragon Rival Burster. We have Makira the Destructor. That's errated and is completely worthless now. Necroface. We have 3 Necroface. Did it do anything? Maybe made Gren Maju a little bit more gimmicky, but other than that, no. Red Eyes Fusion can go to 3. That was also limited. I forgot about that. Red Eyes Fusion got limited as well, but with Dragoon banned, hey, Red Eyes players, you can have 3 Red Eyes Fusion again. That's perfectly fine. And then personal spoofing going to 3. So a little bit of a buff to Altergeist. We've had personal spoofing at 3 here in the TCG for an eternity, and it really has not mattered. But damn, White Dragon Wyvern Burster going to 3. That's a pretty big one. Obviously, their format is completely different, and Max C is involved, so it's a little bit harder for them to want to go combo, just because Max C just deters combo decks so significantly, and when you have a deck like Dragon Link that's special summoning like 30 times in a turn, you know, it's kind of hard to argue, but man, I mean, we know how powerful the baby Chaos Dragons are, so that's a big one. And yeah, so it looks like that's going to do it for their list. I can't believe they banned Dragoon. Like, I am genuinely shocked that they banned Dragoon. How is this going to affect their format? You know, it's hard for me to say. I'm not like an expert in the OCG or anything like that. If any of my watchers are from the OCG, as a matter of fact, be sure to comment down below and tell me how you guys feel this is going to affect your format, because I'm really curious to hear from actual OCG players than me just, you know, speculating and talking about something that I have no idea. But for the TCG, that's the main reason I wanted to make this video, because this could be foreshadowing for the future. I mean, this card is incredible. Like, Dragoon is so devastatingly powerful. There are a few people from the OCG that I do talk to every once in a while, and they've just talked about how this card just completely dominates their metagame. And I think Dragoon's going to be banned here in the TCG not long after. Like, it's going to be inevitable because of how good this card is. Maybe I'll eat my own words. Maybe it's not going to be as bad as I think, but it's so splashable. You can include it in like nearly every deck. And even if your deck gets stopped by like a hand trap, what do? Make Verte Anaconda, send Red Eyes Fusion, and then you have and it's just absolutely incredible monster at your disposal. Like, there's no way this card can manage to survive more than 2 ban lists. I mean, I guess coronavirus could change that, but who knows? I'm happy that they hit Utopia Zexal, though. I think that card definitely needed to go. All cards like this should just not exist. Like, True King of all calamities, I'm looking at you, buddy. You're next on the OCG's list in my eyes. At least they're taking care of that. But I'm very curious to hear what you guys have to think about this ban list. Again, obviously the OCG is vastly different than us, but it's kind of cool to take a look and see like what they're dealing with and their problems with the format and like what we have to deal with. And so I'm curious to hear what you guys think about their ban list. Be sure to let me know down in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. Be sure to like the video as always. Subscribe to the channel for more amazing Yu-Gi-Oh content. And if you found this video informative, consider supporting me on Patreon or becoming a YouTube channel member. Just by showing your support in any way that you can, you're investing in my ability to continue bringing you amazing Yu-Gi-Oh content. So thanks so much again, and we'll see you next time.